Hello children, welcome to my YouTube channel. So today we are going to discuss Cambridge International AS Level 1-2 MCQ paper. As you all know, only the marking in the marking scheme, only the answer is there. So this will help you all to get an idea about the marking scheme answer, how to get the correct answer. Right? So I will explain the theory parts and all the things you need to know to get the correct answer. Okay. Consider the following statements. Silicon dioxide has a higher melting point than sulfur dioxide. So we know, children, silicon dioxide has a giant covalent structure. Therefore, definitely it will have the highest melting point. Sulfur dioxide forms a simple molecular structure. So the correct first statement is correct. Ammonia has a higher boiling point than phosphine. So we know the intermolecular forces between ammonia is hydrogen bonding and between phosphine it is London forces. Therefore, we know hydrogen bonding is greater than London forces. Therefore, the correct answer is A. Both statements are correct. Then we'll see the second one. How many neutrons are contained in an atom of iron? So then we need a periodic table. Atomic number is 60, atomic number is 26. So we know atomic number is equal to the number of protons. Therefore, this element has 26 protons and mass number is equal to the number of protons and neutrons. So if you know the number of protons, you can easily find the number of neutrons as 34. Therefore, the answer for the second one is C. Then children, if I do the third one, so this is the Boltzmann distribution curve. It shows how molecules behave in a closed system, right? So normally some atoms or molecules can have high speed, some have low speeds, but majority will have a average speed. So in these type of graph, we are talking about two things. What is happening to the temperature and what is happening to the pressure. So normally, if we increase temperature, we say that the peak height will be shorter than the original one and will move towards the right-hand side. Therefore, we can see T2 has a higher temperature than T1. The other distribution curve is with activation energies. Normal activation energy of a reaction is very high, but when you use a catalyst, the activation energy will shift to the left-hand side to show that more molecules are capable of forming products. Therefore, we can see higher temperature and using catalyst favors more products. Therefore, the reaction rates are higher when you increase the temperature and when you add a catalyst. So the correct answer is which combination of temperature and activation energy will give the highest reaction rate? T2 because it is the highest temperature, EA1 because it is the activation energy with a catalyst. Then we'll go to the next one, fourth one. So children, when you get a question like that, we need to work out using ICE method. So if you all don't know ICE method, I will explain. We are writing the equation, same equation again, and I will explain you how to use the ICE method. ICE means initial, C is for change, E is for equilibrium. Initial, they have given 1 mole of both reactants. So usually, initially, according to this question, no products are formed. But they have mentioned at equilibrium mixture, you have 0.8 of sulfur dioxide. Then if you take the ratio between oxygen and sulfur dioxide, it's 1 to 2, and the moles of sulfur dioxide is 0.8. Then the moles of oxygen, according to that, should be 0.4. That means change is 0.4. When you consume 0.4 moles of oxygen only, 0.8 moles of sulfur trioxide has formed. In the same way, we can find the change or the reacted amount of sulfur dioxide. 2 to 2, 1:1. That means if this is 0.8, moles of sulfur dioxide will also be 0.8, which means 0.8 sulfur trioxide has been used to convert to form 0.8 moles of sulfur trioxide. Then children, we need to find the equilibrium amounts of the reactants. So you need to subtract. Here you have 0.2, here you have 0.6. Then as they have mentioned about mole fraction and Kp in the question, we need to find the total number of moles. You have to add everything. Then you get it as 1.6. And the mole fraction. So mole fraction we can find separately. Mole fraction of sulfur dioxide is equal to 0.2 over 1.6. So when you find the answer, it's 0.125. So I can find the mole fraction of oxygen, which is 0.6 over 1.6. 0.375. Then mole fraction of SO3, 0.8 over 1.6, which is equal to 0.5. So I just found it. We don't know what they are asking in the question. So first thing, the equilibrium partial pressure of SO2 is greater than the equilibrium partial pressure of oxygen. So children, to find the partial pressure, we need to multiply the mole fraction by the total pressure, right? So equation for partial pressure is mole fraction into total pressure. As the total pressure is not given, I can find the partial pressure of SO2 as 0.125 dP and the partial pressure of oxygen as 0.375 dP. So if you compare these two, we can see oxygen only is greater than SO2. Therefore, first one is wrong. Kp has units of moles per cubic decimeter. So if I write the Kp expression, I can write it as P SO3 gas divided by PSO2 into PO2. So each one has units of ATM. So if I take the units, I can cancel out ATM and the unit will be per ATM. Therefore, second one is also wrong. At the lower temperature, the equilibrium amount of SO3 is lower than 0.8. So this is another story. You can see children, this is an exothermic reaction. In an exothermic reaction, temperature is higher in product side. So if you decrease the temperature, system try to increase the temperature by forming more products. So more products will be formed at a lower temperature. Therefore, that is also wrong. The mole fraction of SO3 is less than 0.8. So we got the mole fraction of SO3 as 0.5, which is less than 0.8. That is correct. Then we'll see the fifth one. Red lead is a pigment with the formula of Pb3O4. Every formula unit of red lead is the same. What are the oxidation states of? Okay. So we know there are 4 oxygen atoms. That means the total negative charge will be -8. So we need to find by using which lead oxidation numbers we can get this answer. So if you use 2 + 1 lead and 3, sorry, lead doesn't have +1 oxidation number. Therefore, you can easily omit A and B. Then if you have 2 and 4, if you use 2 Pb, then we get Pb4 plus and 1 Pb4 plus. Then altogether we can have +8. So this is the correct combination. It can't have plus 6 also. So the correct answer is C. It can have, but it is not a stable oxidation number. Then we'll see the sixth one. Enthalpy of combustion are given. Use these data to find the formation of methanol. So children, according to this, I'll write the equation. Formation of methanol. The elements are, this is the equation for the formation of methanol. CH3OH. I'll write it here. Carbon, hydrogen, and oxygen, you get methanol. So when it is combustion enthalpy, right, we need to write the combustion products in the middle. So you can see carbon with oxygen forms carbon dioxide, hydrogen with oxygen forms water, methanol with oxygen forms carbon dioxide and water. So this is how you have to construct the cycle. We don't know the enthalpy change of formation. Carbon, first we need to balance it. One carbon, one carbon, one carbon. 4 hydrogens, so it will be 2. Then oxygens, we have 2, 2, 4. Then this should be 2. And this should be 3/2. Then all the atoms are balanced. So combustion of carbon is minus 394. For combustion of hydrogen, it is only for one hydrogen, but we have 2 hydrogens. Therefore, we need to multiply the enthalpy by 2. For methanol, it's minus 726. After constructing the cycle, children, you need to see the direction of the arrows. So you can see these 2 arrows are pointing towards one direction and these 2 to the other direction. Therefore, I can write delta H plus minus 726 is equal to minus 394 plus 2 into minus 286. So when you find delta H, you will get the answer as minus 240. So A is the correct answer. Then seventh one, which row is correct? Smallest bond angle. So in water, it's 109.5, ammonia 104.5, water 107, BF3 is 120. Then again BF3 120, 107, 104.5. So definitely we know this is the correct increasing order. Smallest bond angle is for water. It has a V shape with a bond angle of 104.5. Direct theory. Then in the Haber process, the reaction between the two gaseous reactants require the use of a catalyst, which is the element. Okay, so Haber process, we use nitrogen with hydrogen to form ammonia. So if you balance the equation, 2, then this should be 3. So the mole ratio will be 1:3. We have 2 answers and the catalyst we use is iron. Therefore, B is the answer. That is a theory part. Then we'll see the ninth one. Aqueous hydrogen peroxide decomposes into water and oxygen. So I'll write the equation. H2O2 decomposes to give water and oxygen. To balance it, it's already, I should put half. 50 of solution peroxide produced 120 of oxygen in 2 minutes. The volume of gas was measured at room conditions. What is the average rate of decomposition of hydrogen peroxide? Average rate of decomposition. Okay. So children, first we can find the moles of hydrogen peroxide. In 1000, we have 0.5 into 50. Then you get it as 0.025 moles. Then they have given the volume of oxygen as 120. So we can find the moles of oxygen if you divide it by the molar volume. So you get it as 5 into 10 to the power minus 3. So if you take the ratio between H2O2 and oxygen, it's 1 to 0.5. So for 0.5 only, 5 into 10 to the power minus 3. Then you need to find for 1. You get it as 0.01 moles for hydrogen peroxide. So initially you have 0.025, finally you have 0.01 within 2 minutes, right? So I need to convert into seconds as the answers are in per second. Then the rate will be, because rate is given by change in concentration of the moles divided by the time. So I can subtract 0.025 minus 0.01. 0.025 minus 0.025. Then you have to get the answer as 0.0017. That's the correct answer. Then we see the 10th one. The average intermolecular forces in water are much stronger than the average intermolecular forces in steam. The average intermolecular ice are stronger. Which statements are correct? Enthalpy delta HB and delta HM are both negative. So B is boiling, converting liquid to a gas. So they are endothermic. We need to give energy to convert liquid to a gas and to convert solid to a liquid. So it's anyway wrong. Delta HB is greater than delta HM. That is correct. Because we know ice will melt at 0 degree Celsius but boil at 100 degree Celsius. The intermolecular forces in ice and water are of the same type. So they all have hydrogen bonding only. So 2 and 3 are only correct. The 11th one, an experiment is carried out to determine the value of X. Okay, so normally complete dehydration takes place, decomposition does not occur. So first we need to find the mass of the hydrated one. For that, from mass of LiOH H2O is equal to R minus Q. Mass of crucible and residue after heating. Okay, so after heating, you get only mass of LiOH. That is equal to S minus Q. So mass of hydrated form. So from, if you subtract these two, we can find the mass of water. Mass of water is equal to F R minus F. So to find the amount of water, we need to work out with the, so lithium is 6, 16, 1, you get 6, 6, 12, 6.9, right? So 13, 23. So first we can lithium hydroxide and water. Mass of lithium hydroxide is S minus Q divided by 23.9. Mass of water is R minus S divided by 18. So you need to divide by the smallest number to get the ratio. So if you want to find the moles of water, it should be like 23.9 R minus S divided by 18 S minus Q. When you cross multiply, only you can get the answer. Now, because this is going with the expressions only, it's hard, but you have to work it out as a normal empirical formula calculation. So that means typically you're dividing this by this. So when you divide it, you can, without dividing correctly, you can do the cross multiplication. So the correct answer is C. Just you need to know how to find the masses correctly. Mass of the hydrated compound, mass of the anhydrous lithium hydroxide, and the mass of water. Then after finding the mass, we need to divide by the molar mass to find the number of moles. Then if you assume that water moles are less than lithium hydroxide, lithium hydroxide is less than water, then we need to divide both by S minus Q over 23.9. So because of that, we are getting this answer. A sample of an ideal gas occupies how many moles? So we can easily apply PV equals to nRT. So our pressure is 100 kilopascal. We need to convert into pascal. Volume units is in cubic meter. Therefore, we need to multiply by 10 to the power minus 6. R is 8.31 and temperature we need to convert into Kelvin. 273 plus 37. 273 plus 37, you get 310. So when you solve that, you can find the number of moles, which is equal to 9.32 into 10 to the power minus 3. Then 13th one, which enthalpy profile diagram best fit this reaction? So for that, we know it's an exothermic reaction. In an exothermic reaction, reactants only have high energy. Therefore, we can easily omit B and C. Then we need to write the reactants and the products correctly. And the activation energy is 62. So it is not a small thing like that. For activation energy, it should be higher. So the correct answer is D. This is 62 kilojoules per mole. This is not even 62. So D is the correct answer. Then we see the 14th one. Helium ion contains 2 protons, 2 neutrons, and 1 electron. Pass separately through a uniform electric field, same velocity, which arrow describe the path of each particle. Okay, 2 protons mean definitely protons will get attracted to the negative side. So helium has 4 and 2. 2 proton means that the total number of protons will be 4. Therefore, this one is for protons. Neutrons will have the normal one, and electrons will get attracted to the, so it should be path of each particle. For protons, for helium ion is a positive one. It will get helium ion is 2 and 4. this it is positively charged, so it will get attracted to the negative terminal. Protons will also get attracted to the negative terminal. So the only correct answer is 4 and 5. It's very easy. None of them will get attracted to the positive one, as both are positive. The skeletal formula of arginine and lysine are shown. Which row is correct? So empirical formula only they have given 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. There are 6 carbon atoms. Then hydrogens 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14. H14, nitrogen 1, 2, 3, 4, N4 and O2. Then this is for arginine. The empirical formula will be C3H7N2 and O. C3H7N2 and O. So, therefore, A is the correct answer. If you want, you can find. If you all want, you can find the others and see whether it's correct. 16. The oxide and chloride of an element X are separately mixed with water. So X with oxygen, but we don't know the charge, right? The two resulting solutions have the same effect on litmus. Okay, so that means it should be amphoteric to react with the acid and a base. So the only correct answer is D, right? Because P phosphorus P2O5 with water, you can get H3PO4, PCl5 with water, you get HCl and H3PO4. The two results have the same effect. So both are forming acid. So because of that, it will turn blue litmus red. So only with phosphorus, you get two acids. Therefore, the color will have the same effect. So the correct answer is P. Both are giving acidic solutions. Why do the halogens become less volatile as group 17 is descended? Less volatile means we know fluorine, bromine, iodine, right? Fluorine and chlorine are gases. Bromine is a liquid. Iodine is a solid. So less volatile means they can't escape into the gaseous state. That is because and all of them have London forces only. So with the increasing number of electrons, London forces increases. So the correct answer is C. The physical state or the boiling point, for that, we have to look at the intermolecular forces between them. Then 18, compound M is a white solid. It is the chloride of a period 3 element. Information about some reactions starting with compound M is given. So nonpolar solvent, colorless solution. That means this should be a nonpolar solute. Compound M added a little at a time to water, steamy fumes and colorless solution. Fumes Q tested with, okay, so then this should be HCl. Solution R plus few drops of NaOH gives a white precipitate dissolves in a colorless solution. Right. So if I take it as AlCl3, AlCl3 is nonpolar because of the trigonal planar shape. So it dissolves in a nonpolar solvent to form a colorless solution. Nonpolar solvent like hexane, it will give Al3 plus and Cl minus. Compound M added a little at a time to water. So when AlCl3 with water, you can get AlOH thrice and HCl. So because of the formation of HCl, we can colorless solution R. Then colorless solution with excess NaOH, it forms AlOH 4 times minus. So according to the description, the correct one is aluminium chloride. So magnesium chloride will not give HCl. Phosphorus pentachloride also will not react with NaOH to form a white precipitate. Sodium chloride is a neutral salt. There won't be a reaction with sodium hydroxide. So the only answer we can take is A. Which statement about strontium and its compound is correct? So strontium hydroxide is more soluble than barium hydroxide. So when you talk about group 2 hydroxide, magnesium hydroxide is a white precipitate, but barium hydroxide is a colorless solution. That means the solubility increases when you go down the group. So it is strontium hydroxide is strontium hydroxide is more soluble. That is wrong. Barium hydroxide is more soluble than strontium hydroxide, as barium is below strontium. When you go down the group only, the solubility increases. Strontium sulfate. So for sulfates, it's opposite. Magnesium sulfate is a colorless solution. Calcium sulfate is pairing soluble. Strontium sulfate, but barium sulfate is a white precipitate. So strontium sulfate is more soluble than, that is wrong, because when you go down the group, the solubility decreases for sulfates. Strontium nitrate, that is XrNO3 twice, has a lower thermal stability than calcium nitrate. So calcium is on top. So normally we know the thermal decomposition temperature increases when you go down the group. Therefore, that is also wrong. Strontium is a stronger reducing agent than magnesium. Reducing agent means it should be able to undergo oxidation. So if you take calcium forming Ca2 plus and strontium forming 2 plus, it is easier to remove electrons from strontium. So the oxidation is easier in strontium than magnesium. Therefore, D is the correct answer. Then sodium bromide is warmed with concentrated sulfuric acid. Sulfur, oxidation number of sulfur. So remember that with bromide ion and concentrated H2SO4, the products will be HBr, Br2, SO2, HSO4 minus. So you can see plus 6 became plus 4. And it undergoes reduction, therefore it is an oxidizing agent. Sorry, it undergoes reduction, therefore it is, this is an oxidizing agent, but bromide is undergoing oxidation from -1 to 0. It is a reducing agent. So change in oxidation number, we have two answers. These two are correct. Role of bromide ion is the reducing agent. Only sulfuric acid is the oxidizing agent. So the correct answer is B. 21. A reaction occurs when ammonium chloride is added to calcium hydroxide. Okay, so we see ammonium chloride and calcium hydroxide. So you can get ammonia gas, calcium chloride and water. Okay. What is the role of ammonium ions in this reaction? So this is a base, therefore this should act as an acid. So the correct answer is acid. You can see the formation of a salt and water. Elements Y and C are both in period 3. Element Y has the smallest atomic radius in period 3. So that means element Y is more towards the right hand side and C is more towards the left hand side. There are only 2 elements in period 3 that have lower melting point than element Z. Element Y and C react together to form compound R. So this is the S block 1 and this is the P block 1. Which compound could be R? So if I take the third period, it's sodium, magnesium. Element Y has the smallest atomic radius in period 3. Smallest atomic radius. Okay, smallest one is Cl. So we have 2 options. There are only 2 elements in period 3 that have lower melting point than element C. Okay, so that means silicon has the highest melting point. Then if it is phosphorus, then we can say there are 2 elements that can have lower melting point than C. So it should be PCl3. So anyway, if you compare the atomic radius, we know phosphorus is larger than chlorine. So first thing was wrong about S and P. So this is the correct answer, PCl3. Then 23rd one, 1 gram of each of 4 different compounds of group 2 elements are thermally decomposed. Residue in each decomposition is the oxide of group 2 element. Okay. The volume of gas produced from each reaction is measured at room conditions. Which substance produces the greatest volume? So if I decompose calcium carbonate, I'm getting calcium oxide and carbon dioxide. If I decompose calcium nitrate, I'm getting calcium oxide, NO2 and O2. If it's strontium carbonate, again strontium oxide and carbon dioxide. If it's strontium nitrate, strontium oxide, NO2 and O2. And they are using 1 gram. So we know when you go down the group, the molar mass increases. Therefore, when you divide 1 gram by the molar mass of strontium nitrate, the moles will be lower than using calcium nitrate. We can easily omit the carbonate because it forms only 1 gas. So nitrate produces 2 gases, NO2 and O2. Then if you take the mass, if you divide the mass by a larger molar mass, you get only few number of moles of gas molecules. Therefore, the correct answer is calcium nitrate. So not only the product, you need to find the number of moles of the product as well. Sulfur dioxide in the atmosphere can form acid rain. This occurs in 2 steps. Which row identify the atmospheric catalyst in step 1? Conversion of SO2 to SO3. So the catalyst is NO2. For step 2, it's water. Correct answer is C. Which statement about the mechanism of SN1 reaction of halogenoalkane is correct? So in SN1, right, it is for a tertiary halogenoalkane. If it is like this, Cl minus, first step, it forms the intermediate. In the second step only, substitution will take place to get the tertiary alcohol, like this. Okay, so we'll see. A nucleophile is substituted by an electrophile. So in the first step, it's not happening. one intermediate is formed from two reacting molecules. Only one reacting molecule to get one intermediate. The intermediate is stabilized by adjacent alkyl group, which is correct. When you have three alkyl group, they can donate electrons. Therefore, you can have a stable intermediate. Intermediate is uncharged. That is wrong. It has a positive charge. So C is the correct answer. The children 26. The repeat unit of a polymer is given. Its disposal is hazardous because it produces toxic gases when burned. So any polymer will form toxic gases when it is burned. That is correct. Two different monomers are used to make this polymer. So if you break it into two, it is correct. You can see one monomer is this CH, H and Cl. The other monomer is H, H, H and OH. That is also correct. The monomer for this polymer is 1, 2. 3-chloro, it's wrong. Therefore, the correct answer is 1 and 2. First one. A is the correct answer. Then methanoic acid has acidic properties similar to those of other carboxylic acid, which pair consist of two compounds that will give the same observation with failings. Okay. So methanoic acid, remember that it also has an aldehyde group, right? And for failings, it should be another aldehyde. Carboxylic acid will not give a positive test with failings. Esters also will not give. Ketones will not give, only aldehyde. Methanoic acid will give a positive test with failing because it has an aldehyde group, right? So it can be converted to carboxylic acid like this when you add failing solution. So the correct answer is 28, which row gives pentanitrile as the product. Heat with HCN. So when you heat with HCN, you get it like this, CN. Then this also C. So this is a heat with HCN. When you just heat it, it won't happen. You have to use heat, ethanol and KCN. Then 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. This is pentane nitrile. Then D, you have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. It should be hexane nitrile. So that's why D is wrong. An ester is hydrolyzed in alkaline conditions and are different alkyl groups. Which row identify the two products formed? Okay, so R dash CO O R double dash. So when it undergoes hydrolysis in the alkaline condition, you get a salt for carboxylate and the alcohol. So the correct one is B is the correct answer because it is hydrolyzing in the alkaline medium. So in the alkaline medium, you get the salt of a carboxylic acid. If it is done in an acidic medium, you will get a carboxylic acid. Which compound cannot be oxidized by acidified potassium dichromate but does react with sodium? So definitely it should be a tertiary alcohol because tertiary alcohols cannot be acidified because it doesn't undergo oxidation, but because of the alcohol group, it can react with sodium metal. Butane 2-one reacts with alkaline iodine. So this is a reaction. This is the iodoform reaction to identify that there is a methyl ketone. An excess of dilute sulfuric acid is then added to the reaction mixture. The organic product of this sequence are triiodomethane and product M. So if we have butane 2-on, that means COCH3. The bond will break from carbonyl group. Methyl ketone part, it will break from there. Then you get yellow precipitate. It should be the now in the acidic solution. So you can get